Well, hey there, it's your old pal Keith from Wavetables.lol. That's Wavetables.lol, home of KRC Mathwaves, my humongous collection of wavetables for all sorts of modern synthesizers, including our friend Vital. KRC Mathwaves contains more than 150,000 wavetables, along with single-cycle waveforms and even a sample library. It's many gigabytes in content. And it works with Serum, Vital, Korg Modwave, which it was originally designed for, Bitwig, what else? Surge XT. I've shown all sorts of other applications for it in my KRC Mathwaves playlist. I hope that you'll like and subscribe so that you never miss more talky synthesizer content. So today, I wanted to talk real quickly. This is an atypical video for me because it's going to be short. About how to import wavetables into Vital. Now, Vital is popular in part because there's even a free version. That's what I'm using here today. And the free version lets you import your own wavetables if you have a collection. And KRC Mathwaves includes a free version. There'll be links in the description. And the free version has more than 200 wavetables in it, including this one. And I had a user write in and say, hey, I've got 2 wavetable synths. I've got something called ANA2, A-N-A-2, which I hadn't heard of, and also Vital, and how can I use your wavetables with those synths? Now, with ANA2, I think you're out of luck because it supports a very strange wavetable format that would require a lot of extra processing and make these files very big. So for the user in question who wrote in, Vital is probably going to be your best bet. And so here is how we import wavetables into Vital. First, let's talk about Vital's wavetable format. Vital's wavetable format is simply a wave, a .wav, a wave audio file that's 32 bits. And then just has the wavetables concatenated together. This is the same kind of import format supported by Serum. So a lot of times you'll hear me refer to these types of wavetables as Serum-style wavetables. It's also the format supported by Korg Modwave and other things. Bitwig and Surge XT have a slightly different format, and I provide my wavetables in that format as well. So let's just get on with importing wavetables. Now, there are 2 ways to get some new wavetable into Vital. The first way, which is a little bit silly, I guess, if you ask me, is that you can just navigate to any Serum-style wavetable. So, for example, let's say that you've downloaded the KRC Mathwaves sampler. You'll have a KRC wavetable sampler directory once you unzip that, and you could go in there and you could navigate to the KRC sampler Serum. These are the Serum-style wave files, and you could grab any of these wavetables and just load it right in. So you just drag it and drop it, and apparently this only works in the standalone version. So, well, okay. So I guess I shouldn't have been demoing this in Bitwig, should I? I guess I should have maybe just stayed with the standalone version. But there are reasons that I didn't do that. But trust me, if you're in the standalone, you could actually drag from the desktop and drop into Vital. Apparently, you can't do that if you're hosting Vital in your DAW. But that's one way. Now, the smarter way to import wavetables is here. When you click an oscillator to change its wavetable, you'll see all of both the built-in and then things that you have imported as folders, right? So if we wanted to add some new folder, here's one I haven't imported yet. Let's go to my loops and samples directory. Let's see, I've got, I think I haven't imported KRC Free V2 wave format. So that is another one of the collections that you can download from the free version of KRC Mathwaves. We could navigate to this folder and then just say select folder. And now what Vital does is it literally just, this doesn't, as in Pigments, actually move the wavetables anywhere. You're just saying, hey, I want you to look inside this folder for wavetables when I open you. And so you will get a new folder where we could select different wavetables. And like I say, in the free version of KRC Mathwaves, I think it's about 250 free wavetables. The full collection has 150,000 plus and growing all the time wavetables. Inside the free sampler, there are, several different types of waveforms and wavetables that are represented, but it's certainly not all of them. Like, there's not a free wavetable from every single category. So it's really just a tiny view into what you get with Mathwaves. And like I say, I'm changing it all the time. Now, having covered how we import wavetables into Vital, and I think that should be clear, let's just do another one that I don't have added. We'll go to my loops and samples directory. Let's go to Modwave, and I've got all sorts of wavetables. These are all from the KRC Mathwaves collection. We'll go grab, let's see. Yeah, we could do the FFT wavetables. Let's do the hybrid three-way, this one. Then you see all these subcategories that we have. If I import this folder, now I have access to the wavetables that are inside here. One thing I should note, both in KRC Mathwaves and in the free sampler, you will find wavetables that look like this. If you listen to it, whoa, what is going on there? Well, these wavetables are really, they're not so much for sweeping, though if you did change your modulation to be very low, you could sweep between some particular waveform and another. Let's just change what is modulating this? Oh, it's envelope 2. Let's just change our modulation to be very, very slight. And see, we're morphing between these two waveforms that are very close together. But how these are really intended to be used, if you see a wavetable like this, and they're often labeled like 64 or 16, these are just 64 different wavetables that you can pick out. And in Vital, what you do to access the exact waveforms, you can go to edit mode, and you can see over here this blend style parameter. So you've got a couple different options, time and spectral. You can also select none. And when you select none, you're actually going to snap to all of the specific waveforms that are in there. See, they're not morphing. And so we might just pick out this waveform and build a patch based on that, okay? Well, that's really just about all I wanted to show you today. That's how you can import single, well, that wasn't successful now, was it? But you can import single wavetables if you're in the standalone mode. Again, just something to note here is Vital saves wavetables with the patch. So if you were going to do that technique of just taking a single wavetable and dropping it into an oscillator, you would best save your work. And you could do that by clicking here, right? You could save a preset. And that will, in fact, write that wavetable into that preset so that it can access it again. But like I say, the better way to do things is to just do this add folder technique, okay? Was there one other thing I wanted to talk about? I feel like there was one other thing I wanted to talk about. Oh, yes. I am not much of a Vital user. My wavetable synthesizer of choice is Korg Modwave for many reasons, not the least of which is that you can actually browse and filter very, very large collections of wavetables like KRC Mathwaves in Modwave. But it's not so bad in Vital. We can just flip through all these different, and there's thousands in this folder, all these different wavetables, and we could find different waveforms, right? So that's not so bad. But more expert Vital users than I have told me that there seems to be a limit of 8,000 wavetables. So I'm not sure if that's, I'm not sure if that's in a single folder or if it's across all folders, but that's something you might need to be aware of. So for example, if you were going to try to explore like all of KRC Mathwaves, you may hit a limit as to the number of folders that you can add and the number of wavetables it can support. But again, this isn't like an import process. It's really just a pointer process. Vital is just looking to these folders. So, if you did need to clear up some space, like we could just, hey, let's say we're not going to use the format saws we could just nuke that folder, right? And then that theoretically will free up space to point to another folder. Anyway, that's just one weird thing. I don't know if that's ever going to change. I'm not sure how often Vital is updated anymore. But it's not a bad synth, and it's a good way to explore KRC Mathwaves. So again, like and subscribe for more talkie synthesizer content. Go to Wavetables.lol to get the KRC Mathwaves free sampler, or buy the complete collection. It's $29. And so for gigabytes of content, that is an insane deal. With that, it's your old pal Keith signing off. Have a great day, and I will talk to you later.